Should I try a new way of doing it?
Go for it.
Welcome
Have fun.
to your opinion stinks. Welcome. No. Welcome. Welcome. I woke up in that one. Welcome.
Yay. I'm done.
Oh, no. Welcome to Your Opinion Stinks. I chased away my co-host. You don't like me no more. We can't fight no more. We can't fight no more. Your Opinion Stinks opens the conversation on a hot button business topic
and flips it on its head.
Hosted by a wellness coach
And a business coach.
We break down conventional business
While building entrepreneurs up for success. Who will you agree with?
Welcome to Your Opinion Stinks. I'm Taniza.
And I'm Tim. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching. If you're on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe because, we're putting in a lot of work and we love to hear you guys' feedback. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and hit that alert button because, hey, guess what? When something new comes up, we'll let you know. Well, Google will let you know.
The Googles and the YouTubes and the notification.
All of their magical automation.
The notification fairy. Oh, that's
notification
nice.
Fairy. I think we'll adopt that into the show.
Yes, there's a high note. Thank you, notification fairy. Give love to the notification fairy by hitting that bell.
Yeah, the bell is like their thing.
The bell is love.
The bell is their nutrition. For one notification a day, you feed a notification fairy. Feed a notification fairy today.
Every notification bell you hit feeds 6 notification fairies.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, just the one.
Just only the ones that subscribe.
Oh, just us.
Yeah, so it goes a long way. We'll just say that.
Guess what?
Chicken butt.
We need a. We don't have that. Well, that's all right. Guess what? Today, I'm not letting you answer this time.
Yeah, I saw that you jumped the gun.
We're doing part 2. Part 2 of which TV show is worth an entrepreneur's time.
All right.
And we have identified 3 that we like that teach us all sorts of lovely lessons. Although, wait, were you about to say something?
I was.
Go ahead.
Make sure that you watch the previous episode to see what we were talking about for the first thing in episode 6.
5.
This is 6. Yeah. Oh, a lot of work.
We're so tired, y'all.
Yeah, episode 5 to see what we riffed on.
Yeah.
For the first 2 principles.
Though I do have an addition. It's a caveat, really.
Okay.
Because I know we are very enthusiastic about these shows, and rightfully so, and that enthusiasm will continue today. However, as we were watching, we happened to see another episode of Bar Rescue today.
Yeah.
It made me realize a caveat I wish I would have given yesterday.
Okay.
Basically, while I do love all 3 of these shows, as a wellness professional, I cringe.
The mental health of all the people.
Every time someone is just attacking someone or being revengeful or...
Yeah, there's a lot of human nature that happens in this, but it's reality TV.
It is. So I want to emphasize that what makes good reality TV does not necessarily make good business
or good
relationships,
health.
Good health.
Yeah.
Good mental, emotional, physical well-being.
So disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Look for the lessons, but don't be abusive to people.
Right.
Yeah. Good observation.
Thank you.
Good observation.
Because that Tapper dude, I love him, but he's a good example of this because even he evolved over time. In the beginning of Bar Rescue, in the beginning of the series, he would come into the bar take over completely. The person would hand over the keys. He would make a ton of changes and yay, your bar's fixed. And then hand back the keys. And then the owner would change everything back.
Most of the time, yeah.
Because there was no buy-in. And the owner felt like their pride and their intelligence and their leadership capabilities were all under attack. Because now if it works, then it really does mean everything I was doing was wrong. And I can't take that. That's not true. That can't be.
So yeah, just he really took a military approach.
Yeah, he
to
did.
breaking down.
Yes.
So that way they have no choice but to submit.
Right, and they wouldn't because you're there for 3-4 days.
Yeah, and there's a better buy-in for most of them because they've lost their spirit, and now their spirit is reborn under this new thing that they've adopted and taken as their own. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very militant.
Yeah.
How it goes now.
But yeah, nowadays while he is still very aggressive, it still makes me cringe. Because when you put someone on the defense, that is not the attitude within which someone is likely to say, you know what? Yes, you're right. Everything I've thought and believed and done and said has been wrong.
There's been some.
Who in the world has said that after attack number 1?
There's been some though.
Get out of here.
That when he's made his initial approach, they didn't fight much.
But look at the ratio.
But most of them, it's pulling teeth.
It can happen, but it only happens if that person has already been self-reflective enough.
Yeah.
They're willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to admit when they're wrong, and that's not most of us.
I can agree with that. Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah. So, and even he evolved over time, and now he'll put in almost every episode. Now there is something where he figures out the owners that big hurdle they need to get over for it to be a success.
Yeah,
and they bring in the person to help them get over that hurdle. The tone, it comes way down. He's much calmer.
It's the whole thing of the military
thing. He's much more supportive. No, but that's not a military thing.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing of I'm going to disrupt your world, and then once you're so shaken, then I can start to do the inner work.
I agree with you to a point, but I think even from the very beginning, it's not, his approach isn't really the same unless he's really, really pissed off. Yeah. If he's really mad at how dirty everything is and how you're endangering customers and all of that, he flips right back into the military, yes.
Yeah, he'll rip somebody a new one.
Right.
Yeah.
But his overall tone now is in everything, it's trying to pinpoint the thing, what is your leverage? He's more strategic about it. He's not just blanket angry and calling them names, which is not helpful. But he is more strategic, like, what do you want? And if you really want that, then why are you doing this? And then creating that cognitive dissonance in their brain. Like, okay, that is a conflict. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that before we move into the other things. So while there are so many great lessons, there are also lessons of how not to do things.
It's so hard. Okay, I'll just say this to kind of move us through. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say that someone shouldn't do it because it is entertainment first before it's life lessons.
You're saying it's hard to say someone shouldn't do that for TV?
Yeah.
Or in general?
It's kind of more so like that doesn't really translate in the real world outside of the television.
TV doesn't translate to real world.
That behavior doesn't translate in the real world.
Yeah, that's my point.
Okay. Like, just as long as we're clarifying that.
It makes great TV.
Yeah. Okay. That was it.
No matter how you feel about it, it makes effective TV.
Yeah. That's
gets a lot of viewers.
That's all I really wanted to say.
Cool. So today we are tackling 2 more lessons. We're tackling 2 more lessons that Moonshiners, Bar Rescue, and
Shark Tank
all can teach entrepreneurs.
I got to do this. Baby Shark Tank, do baby
Shark Tank, do baby Shark Tank, do baby Shark Tank.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just heard it in my head. I had to
Half
get it
the
out.
people listening and watching were just so triggered.
They're now pissed. They're now mad. Like,
they have taken a meal back from the subscription fairy, the notification
reconsidered
fairy.
their subscription.
No, give it. We're sorry. Oh, are you sassing the? Oh my goodness! All right.
I'm not sassing them. I'm upset
Yes, you are. That is
I'm upset
upset.
that I upset them.
When you use that baby tone,
It depends on
it
its
is
context.
sarcasm.
It is context.
It is context.
And in this context,
and every time you've used it so far, it's been sarcastic. It has. I used it once in reference to a real baby. All right. Lesson 1.
Mm-hmm.
Both self-pity and defensiveness lead to self-sabotage.
Both self-pity and defensiveness leads to self-sabotage.
So
Go ahead.
I will give you the prime example that where this came from. I think it does exist in all three.
Okay.
But what motivated this one for me was Moonshiners.
Okay.
Currently, in the current season of Moonshiners, for those who watch or don't watch, trust me, this is great. Who's the guy that has to pay Mark and Digger back? I can't remember his name. So there's this guy whose name we will figure out right now. He was making his moonshine, and we have seen some anger issues from him in the past.
People just don't follow that moonshiner code, I tell you what.
And I don't remember all the details, but basically something terrible happened to his still. And there was someone took him out, tried to take him out. Might have been a cop, might have been another moonshiner, but he was convinced. He was so sure that Mark and Digger took out his still. And so rather than going to them and talking about it, rather than really trying to find out if his assumption was right, rather than doing any of that, he sought revenge.
Mm-hmm.
He reacted out of anger instead of responding realistically to the situation.
Okay.
And in his reaction out of anger, he went and blew up Mark and Digger's still.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Mark and Digger did nothing to this man's still.
At least that's what we are led to believe.
Everyone comes to believe that. And so now this guy feels terrible and now owes Mark and Digger a bunch of money because they did nothing to his still.
Blew up all that copper
and now
and stone.
Every run of moonshining, by the way, we don't approve of doing illegal activities for your business.
Yep.
Also another caveat.
Good lessons though, but we don't
Right.
we don't condone illegal.
Not that lesson.
Yeah.
And now every bottle of moonshine he's making, part of it is going to Mark and Digger for probably the rest of the season. He's going to make so much less money because he reacted and tried to make himself feel better and get revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lesson here is, please, when you feel like you've been wronged in business by a colleague, by a competitor, by a
venture partner,
a partner, and anyone, when you feel like you've been wronged, please don't react out of anger or self-pity. The self-pity version is
Mike.
Oh, his name is Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Mike.
Yeah, because his partner's Daniel.
Okay, Mike. Please don't act like Mike. But also, please
that's so clever.
Please don't get caught up in self-pity so that you spiral down and feel defeated. And you can't, because when you're in that defeated attitude or that angry attitude or even that anxious attitude, you are blocked from all the solutions of your business.
Mm-hmm. I'll throw a couple things at that. Mm-hmm. Since you already talked about Moonshiners, and that was a really good example, I'm not going to piggyback on that one. I'm going to jump to a different show.
Okay.
I'll jump on Shark Tank.
Okay.
Like, one of the things that I see and I notice on Shark Tank is when a person that has an idea is tripping on their numbers or their presentation or something like that, and then they start to kind of show weakness and self-doubt, so then the sharks can attack them.
Mm-hmm. That first bit of blood comes out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I have problems with it because, of course, it's TV.
Right.
So they have to show that, well, the sharks have to show that they have dominance, that they have superiority, that they're the ones that's in the driver's seat, not these people trying to get at their venture cap.
Yeah.
The whole thing, though, is just like in any other business negotiation, the person who blinks first loses. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can go that can go south really quick. Like, it's like what we talked about in the last episode, where you have to be creative and you have to be able to flip at the drop of a hat in order to keep your power position. In Shark Tank, if someone shows that they can't really present themselves as being strong-willed, or that they have a flaw in their assumptions,
that under pressure they can't perform and stay calm,
then that kind of shows what it might be in the business as well.
Yes.
And that can definitely hurt in the long run. So yeah, whenever we see someone who breaks their cool, that is a deep lesson in not showing up ready and prepared. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you are attacked, do you make that about you or do you make that about them? Because if I'm being attacked on Shark Tank,
they make it about the sharks all the time. It's very rare that you see someone talk about what they didn't do.
But first, the person being attacked makes it about them and feels like their honor has been slighted or they've been disrespected, so they must defend that, and they go on the attack back.
Yeah.
Rather than, if they made a mistake, acknowledge that and move on, or say up front, that is an area that I could do better at knowing about in my business. Here is my plan to address that.
Right.
And here's what I think you can do to help me. And here's what I'm willing to do to make this better. That's the kind of response that they'll respect. But if you get all in your head and make it about you and it's like, no, this isn't right. I can't.
Right.
I can't deal with it. No. How dare you? Then that little baby fish tries to attack that huge shark, and then it doesn't work, and they don't get the deal.
They lose, yeah.
And they're eaten, and they go home crying.
Oh,
do fish cry?
Yes.
Fish cry?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you'd say.
I have no idea.
There's a song that says they don't have any feelings, but I'm skeptical of that.
Fish don't have any feelings.
No.
Something's in the way. Something's in the way. And what's the last show?
So the third show is Moonshiners, Shark Tank, Bar Rescue.
Okay.
Oh.
So this is easy.
Oh.
All right.
Y'all, your bar owners with the self-pity and the defensiveness.
Now I'm gonna be very, very fair, because it's like one of those things where, why would you sign up to be abused unless you're expecting to be abused? A
lot of them just want the remodel. They think the only thing they need, he's going to come in and we're going to be different. He's going to come in and see how the staff is great. Everyone's great. We just need a new bar and a new concept.
I can count on my hand how many times I remember Tapper walking in and he didn't blow up.
Twice.
Three,
probably 2 or 3 times.
One was a bar in the district One was in a bar in Miami because they had a situational thing happen. It wasn't that they were bad. And the other one was in Puerto Rico when he was doing the Puerto Rico rescue stuff. That was good. He didn't blow up at them that I can remember, but it was all circumstantial.
Right.
It wasn't because it was bad management, bad staff,
right.
bad practice,
bad sanitation, bad
poisoning people.
Yes.
Having horses come into your bar.
Terrible marketing.
It wasn't any of those extra things that are human related.
Yeah.
It was circumstantial. So yeah, all those people that are in there that's like, yeah, he doesn't understand. He doesn't know the full story. Come on. I don't know. Like I wanna be nice, but they sign up for it.
Well, like I think a lot of those owners call because they think they know the problem. It's these people all out here. It's not me.
But sometimes it's not the owners that call.
He will come in and whoever calls. Whoever calls.
Yeah.
All these people are the problem. He will come in and fix them. And then they are unpleasantly surprised.
When they find out that they're the problem.
Or at least part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's why they call in, because they don't realize
it's
that
crazy.
They're part of the problem.
Yeah.
But I think bar rescue is a fantastic example for self-pity bringing down someone in their business, because over and over again we see a bar owner who starts to have trouble, like they were once really successful and now they've tanked and they can't fix it, or they were never successful and all their relationships have gone to crap and they're borrowing tons of money from their parents and it's not working. And instead of rising to the occasion or reaching out to someone who can help or doing something different or whatever, instead they get into self-pity and self-sabotage and they start drinking, which is a lot of what we see.
They steal their profits from themselves. Yeah.
And they just sit at the bar and drink and escape all of the pain of the situation.
Yeah.
And that will only take out your business faster.
Yeah. So I think the only thing I'll add to that is when we see that it goes beyond the owner, and they bring about the whole human aspect of the situation as far as mixing the business with the human element, it starts to muddy up the whole ideal of separating business from personal, because then you're talking about the people's lives that you're affecting. You're talking about the customers that you're vending to. You're talking about your end product. You're talking about the brands. You're talking about the comfortability of your space. There's all these factors. And then the emotional side.
Yeah, I don't even subscribe to the idea that you should keep business and professional and personal. They influence each other.
I think in some ways you can decompartmentalize. It just depends on what the business is. Like in that situation, most of the time a bar is a meeting place. And that type of melding pot doesn't bode well for that type of separation. There's too much interaction with people, whether it's behind the bar or in front of the bar, that you can't escape that.
It's your job as a professional to interact all day long with personal people
and to make them to make them feel like they're at home, even though they're not.
For you, it's business,
right?
I agree with that. And there are some aspects where yes, you need to approach something more professionally than personally. I don't debate that at all.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's impossible to separate. It's impossible from my perspective to go to work at 9 and shut off personal in all aspects of your life and everyone else's life.
It depends on who you are.
Because there's personal baggage from people's past in which they get triggered with certain communication styles, events, happenings, stress that triggers them into ways of being and interacting with people that they have not dealt with personally and leak into their lives professionally.
Okay.
There are the friendships that you create and the enemies you create.
Yeah.
And the frenemies you create at your place of business, whether that's an entrepreneur or an office or whatever.
Right.
And so there are personal relationships. They may not be deep. They may be deep. But that's another aspect because we're all people. We're all humans. And we come to like and dislike a lot of the people we work with.
Yeah.
So that's a way you can't completely separate it. You may have had a crappy morning before you even got to work or started your work at home because of some phone call that set you off, or you didn't get enough sleep, or like your personal life has now affected your ability to be awake and alive and competent in your work. Like you can't, there's always something to one degree or another for every person working in the business that is affecting their work. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think if we were more able to deal with that in a healthy way within ourselves and with each other, then it wouldn't be such a big deal. We wouldn't feel this need to separate it all.
You're still just looking at this whole thing from like a holistic standpoint, and there's no problem in that. Mm-hmm. I for one think that if you set yourself to have the business actually be only an entity to itself, in the right situation, you can have that separation, and that then 100%. Brings about. For some people, it can happen that way. I mean, it's not impossible, and there's some of the best people in the world that have been able to completely take emotion out of their thing. But on the topic of what we're talking about, it still opens up the door for there to be self-sabotage, even if it's only numbers based, because your emotions could then influence what you see in the numbers. So you would agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's where I was kind of leading to. It was like, even if you could decompartmentalize what your business is compared to your personal, there's still a part of the human element that's flawed where you can influence your business perspectives, and that can then end up still being self-sabotage, regardless of if you have any emotional attachment.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of ways you can look at your business strategically, and in the data and everything, and when your staffing, all of it, your vendors. And if you feel good about everything, the product, then you may look at it with rose-tinted glasses, like, hey, this is going great. Whereas if you have a bee in your bonnet about something, like this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong.
Yeah, you can.
And you're doing terrible because your numbers are like, well, that person's number. I'm not talking about that person's number.
Yeah, you can make a lot of false positives true.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so which of those three shows best exemplifies both self-pity and defensiveness lead to self-sabotage? For me, it's between Bar Rescue and Moonshiners. I'm going Bar Rescue.
I'm there too. Where it's between those two,
almost every episode.
I think it's Bar Rescue only because
and somebody
there's always more blame to be given than on Moonshiners. Like most of the time with Moonshiners, they take their own faults and responsibilities for their actions and inactions. They do. But like in Bar Rescue, there's more fingers to point. Yes. And more opportunities for that.
It's what do you do about, and I'm not immune to this. It's what do you do with that criticism? Do you beat yourself up about it? Do you get angry about it and attack the other person? Do you just break down completely and get depressed? Like, what do you do with that? Or do you may feel this initial and you deal with that quickly, and you're like, you start to parse it out. Like, okay, is there a kernel of truth to that at all that I can take and move forward with? Mm-hmm. If so, I will move forward with that. With the rest, I will let it go. I will not harbor it as resentment towards this person. I won't file it away. People like say, I'm going to file that away. Like, I'll never forget. Like, like, I ain't going to make a thing of it. I ain't going to talk to him about it, but I'm going to file it away.
That's that vindictiveness.
Like, come on.
That's that straight.
It means then
straight Bar Rescue.
You're bothered by it.
That's that straight Bar Rescue right there.
Don't act like it ain't a problem no more.
Yeah.
So you agree, Bar Rescue?
Bar Rescue, yeah.
Bar Rescue wins. Give him a coin.
All right, there you go.
Oh, Bar Rescue got one. All right, let's go through this one pretty quick. I think Yeah. Number 2, leverage tasks and workload strategically.
I'll probably take the weakest one of this just because it'll be quick to get through.
All right.
And that is Shark Tank. Because there's not a lot of opportunity
What?
for there to be
I thought
leverage.
that was the strongest one.
No. Okay, this is my observation. You got to come to the tank ready to go.
Yes.
So the only leverage that there could ever be is in the sharks, not the person pitching the sharks.
But that's not where I see the leveraging tasks and workload strategically. It is before you get to the tank. You have not created a business that can ramp up quickly, because you see that a lot. A lot of the people who come on Shark Tank, whether they get a deal or not, they fold because they're on TV. They get 1,000 orders and they can't handle it.
Okay, but that's an after effect of the appearance on the show. Like the whole thing.
And it's also about the effect, but it's also about when they start asking questions and teasing apart your workflow. For example, if the business is that person does everything, that person knows everything.
Yeah.
And they have not outsourced anything.
Yeah, they'll be afraid to dip into them, because if they were to get hit by a bus, then the business is gone.
Business is over.
I got that. But what I see it as is you should have those things in place prior to. You're right. But that's not what the essence of the show is. The essence of the show is you come correct with what you have. And if you're trying to figure out leverage, it's who can I leverage that's on that panel to take my business to that next phase.
Well, that's another way it works then. Leverage.
But I think that's more so. I think that's more so the lesson though. The lesson is who can you get to that can help you get to that next phase.
I think it's
because everything on that show is about I've reached my apex. I need to grow. And I can't grow any further than I have.
But that's the point. Some people think that and don't realize they actually have a lot of problems under the hood.
But who's to say that that's not true, even if they are the problems? Because if I told you that I've sold everything that I could sell, I can't sell anymore. Well, it's true, because I bought into that ideal. That I can't do anything more than I've done. Mm-hmm. But then you might say, well, why didn't you try X? Mm-hmm. Oh, you've now presented me a new possibility, which basically means now I have another avenue to grow. If that little seed or that misdirection opens me up to new possibilities, then yes, I have not reached my capacity. But as far as I'm concerned, mentally in my space, that's it. So going to the tank opens up the whole thing of who can I work with of these panel of people that can take me to the next phase. And some of them even say, you know what, you're not ready for us. Here's some ideas. I can't invest in you today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just that insight right there is worth them being on the show, and that helps them to go beyond their means. Like I don't see anything prior to that meeting as being more strategic than that meeting itself. That's what I think Shark Tank is, and it's very apparent that you have a more broader opinion than that.
It's everything. Like yeah.
Let's
go to the next one.
Yeah, all right. So toss up, take it up.
Let's go
Pick
Moonshiners.
One. All right, good.
Leverage
because there's a lot of that in there.
Strategically, yeah.
All right, so Moonshiners is great as an example of leveraging and being strategic, because everything is about what you can be resourceful with. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the Shiners, they're strategic about where they set up. They're strategic about who they have to do alliances with. They're strategic about how they source. They're strategic about how they protect. They're strategic about, their own workspace
and how they protect it.
They're strategic about the people that are their partners. They're strategic about their money. Mm-hmm. Selling before they get. That's a great lesson too for everybody. Sell before you actually make it.
Yeah.
Although
they do get a lot of verbal commitments, which
sometimes doesn't pan out the way they want.
There's something that doesn't work for.
So
But go ahead.
Yeah, Moonshiners is great to kind of figure out how you can actually build a network of people. And even though we don't see the network being built, they always allude to that network. So the lesson in that is that you can pair with people that have certain skills. You don't have to be everything.
Yes.
But yeah, there's more of that there, where it's like community. And I think that's a great lesson, because there's so many people that are solos and bipreneurs and tripreneurs and under 50s that feel like they have everything at their disposal and they can do everything on their own, but forget that there's a person right across the street that has access to people that all they got to do is give a mention, and now you've opened yourself up.
And that doesn't necessarily mean taking on an employee.
Exactly. It's just partnerships at some point. It could be
partnership. It could be taking on a task-oriented person and you just pay for their time hourly.
Yep.
It could be a service or a plug-in or something that you didn't realize was out there.
A computer can do some of the type. Well, it depends. I don't know about the Moonshiners, but
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, Moonshiners is a great example of leveraging people,
being strategic about
and just being able to figure out how to do more with less.
Yes.
And make everybody happy.
Yes.
Because I think that's a really big lesson in that they do is the people that they partner with, they take care of them so they can be taken care of, and they make it a priority that they do it. So it's more kinship. Rather than just, I'm making that product and I'm going to, make my money and all that. They really try to show that there's a human element to it.
Yeah.
So I think Moonshiners is a really great example.
And then the last one is
Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue. Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So
there's a lot of strategy at Bar Rescue.
Okay. So strategy and leverage seems to only come from one side, and that's Tapper.
Yes, but
he brings in the leverage and the strategy.
Him come in and see what's wrong. Watching him go through that process every episode
of seeing how he
is
fixes
educational.
Problems. Yeah,
because he comes in, and you may be thinking like, oh, that person's the problem and that thing is the problem, but like, no, he sees it as this, and this. You fix these things, then it makes everything flow that much better.
I'd have to agree with that. Like and I hate to use the television lingo,
okay,
but it fits.
Okay.
The bar science that he puts into his reconstructions is actually very, very interesting. Like this one episode in season 1, the bar was located by the sea. It's a beach location, but the bar was an Irish bar, so it turned people off because it didn't carry the vibe of the town. One of the things that he did when he did the remodel, which I thought was brilliant, I wouldn't have thought to do it, was he made all of his tables reflective surfaces. So since they were all by windows, every time that you looked at your table, you saw the outside.
Ooh, that's
so
clever.
It was like bringing the beach inside. It was really smart to think of some of the things that he does to kind of really hone in on every aspect to make every rescue unique. Yeah. So
strategery.
Very strategic. So I think for him, or for that show, it's having alliances with a personal network, but also personal relationships with other businesses. Like he brings in a whole bunch of corporate partners to sponsor stuff, or I guess sell it. I don't know how they acquire things.
There's probably some licensing going on.
Yeah, it has to be some type of money deal, maybe.
Yeah.
But in any instance, what it tells us in business is that sometimes we can work with other partners, other brands, and bring them into the fold and leverage their assets in order to achieve a common goal, and everybody wins.
Oh, and teaser for episode 7. This is
7. Yep.
Teaser for episode 7. We will be talking about partnering with competitors.
Cool. That's going to be fun.
So that person is not your enemy. Your competitor is not your enemy.
Nah, they're not.
Well,
most of the time they're not. Because it's all about that. It's all about that scratch. I think that's a great example because what it tells us as entrepreneurs is we should look to work with people that are in some type of alliance, some type of pathway that's either parallel to us or exactly with us, and make win-win situations. Try to always make deals that are win-win. So no matter if one side is winning more than the other, that doesn't matter. It's about, I do something good with you today. There's a good chance that you'll do something good with me tomorrow. We can keep that relationship going. We can grow together. I will say this, and this goes across for every show. There's always one side that has more leverage than the other. But that shouldn't stop anyone from approaching partners.
Yes.
Because yes, you might not be able to give what your partner could give, but that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about the relationship, and it's about everybody being able to eat off the table.
Yes.
So don't let that get in your way or anyone else's way. If you are more powerful than them or they're more powerful than you, it's about the synergy.
Yeah.
It's about coming together and making something bigger than you could do on yourself, on your own.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So
all right. So who wins?
I think it's a 3-way tie.
Leverage, tasks, and workload strategic. Yeah. They're all three really strong.
I don't know that there's one over the other that exemplifies it the best. Well, no, I do.
Which one?
For me, it's Moonshiners. Because they have a lot less.
They have so few resources and can and have to be so discerning about who they work with.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Give them a coin. Oh, that's good. All 3 shows at least got one. That's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it then. We did it.
Cool. It took us 2 shows.
It took us 2 shows. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but
but it was well worth it. It was a great discussion on that.
It worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do it again.
Yeah, because there's more shows and more things to learn from TV. And you like how I dropped that in there?
Nice.
Yeah. That's called seeding. Yeah.
All right. Wrap it up, baby.
Alrighty.
So, wrap it up, baby.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We're having some fun. This is actually pretty cool. I like that. If you're listening on iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, make sure you subscribe because, once we put something up, we want to make sure that you got it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit that alert button so that way you can, of course, get an alert every time we put up new content. I'm Tim.
And I'm Taniza. Remember, please, opinions are not facts. Do your research and have fun in the fight. Bye-bye.
Oh.